Hour. Thank you. Welcome. It's really good to have you here. This session is about making your elevator pitch stand out. I'm Paula Neme. I'm part of the SIA Startup Investor Accelerator community here in Europe. And we're part of the Mossy Ventures, which is a bigger company that's been running for 15 years, actually. And we are an angel training, angel investor training program. We have a Seattle Angel Conference, SAC, in the US, in Seattle, actually, but running remotely. And we have TAC, Transatlantic Angel Conference, in Europe. That our aim is to train people that want to become angel investors. And as part of that training, we have many startups that are coming to pitch and to compete for a winner, and a startup that is a winner to earn the money from those investors. So these sessions and these workshops are part of like our way to give back to the ecosystem and to the community to help you as founders to stand out on those investors and to make sure that your pitch is perfect. That's why we have Dana here, that she's going to talk about how to make your elevator pitch stand out. And as we go during the next, we have 2 hours allocated for this workshop. The idea is that we'll be running it will be a really interactive session. Dana will be sharing like key insights that you should know. And the idea is that we will have time for Q&A and practice. So by 90 minutes, we are hoping that this will be like wrap up in terms of like the content. But we will be staying here for 2 hours in case you want to stay connecting and asking questions and really working in your pitch, because the idea is that you leave this session with the key action steps and insights that you need to really stand out next time you go to make your pitch, and also new connections from around the world. I'm going to share this again later on, but if you have any questions, use the chat. I'm here, Manch is here for any questions, and I will share more information in the chat. And Dana, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Paula. I'm delighted to be here. I'm going to quickly share my screen just for a little while. I'll have it up and then down and then up again, so that I like for us to be able to see each other. I am Dana Sather Robinson. I'm your friendly neighborhood angel investor. I'm a pitch trainer, and I founded a program called Pitch for Impact, which helps founders have a great pitch to connect to the right investors faster. I'm really delighted that you're joining me today. And if you joined since Paula mentioned it, please put your location in the chat, because it's fun to see where everybody is calling in from. Today, we're going to talk about how to make your elevator pitch stand out. And to do that, we're going to talk about how to simplify your story and avoid mistakes that I see happen all the time. And also, I want you to have clarity on what investors want in an elevator pitch. And we are going to have time for you to practice your memorable elevator pitch. The key to having an elevator pitch, like this really short message, of course, is to be concise. So we have a lot to learn on how to simplify your story. So grab some paper, be ready to take notes, participate, put your questions and comments in the chat. And then as soon as I'm done with my main instruction, I want you all to feel free to ask questions and to practice. So you actually have to take notes and prepare something so that you can practice it at the end. This is something that I love to do because I'm a trainer in presentation skills. I'm an angel investor. I see a lot of pitches. So I'm really obsessed with communication skills. Just a quick intro about me before we dive in. When I listen to pitches, I look at it from 2 perspectives, right? 2 lenses. The first one is that angel investor. And so I've learned what investors want in a pitch. And the second thing that how I'm viewing a pitch is that of a trainer of communication skills. So as the trainer, and I've trained people all over the world. I've lived in Asia, I've lived in Europe, and now I live in the US. I've trained people in different cultures, lots of different industries. So I notice how people are communicating and what's going on when something really works. And I've noticed what's going on when something's not working. And that's why I started pitch training, so that I can help founders improve their communications with investors and help them succeed. And so in order to do that, I do webinars, I do group workshops, I do training one-on-one and in groups. So I'm here to help. And here's why this is really important. When you're meeting an investor, you need to have an elevator pitch so that you're prepared to meet people, that you're prepared to be concise because you never know how much time you're going to have. And so that you're ready for Seattle Angel Conference and the Transatlantic Angel Conference, because your first appearance in front of all their investors is an elevator pitch, and it needs to be spot on for it to stand out. And this is the first thing you need to remember, is that your goal when you're giving an elevator pitch is to be understood and remembered. I'm going to take this down so I can see you all. All right, this is important. Write this down. When you introduce yourself to an investor, make it easy for them to remember who you are and what you do. Being remembered is a goal because it's really important to your success. My goal for you is that days after your pitch or days after you've introduced yourself to an investor, that they remember you. Your goal is not to cram as much information as you can into 1 minute. Your goal is not to sound really smart and explain the technology in your PhD language. You know you've got a great introduction when the person you just introduced yourself to, that listener, is able to repitch you to someone else. When they can introduce you to somebody and say, this is Harry, and here's what he does. Okay, last week was Seattle Tech Week. I met some of you there. I met lots of amazing founders during Tech Week. And I checked this morning, I met over 100 new people on LinkedIn last week. And do you think I remember what all of them do? I went there for 4 days. If you met 100 new people in 4 days, how many would you remember? Like, how would you remember what they all do? Normally, when you meet that many people, there's only a few that stand out. So it's important that you stand out, that you're memorable. And I saw some common mistakes last week, and I see these a lot when I meet new founders, both in their elevator pitch and their investor pitch. So these are the mistakes you're going to avoid. The first is, I call it TMI, too much information. Founders cram a lot of information into a short amount of time, but that doesn't work. Second big mistake that I see a lot is that the content's not focused on what investors want. An example is that a lot of founders last week were talking about their product features and what they're building and how cool it is. And it is cool, but that's not what investors want to know. Investors want to know about the business. And the third big mistake that I see a lot is that the elevator pitch is not engaging. It's not easy to listen to. It's often like somebody's talking really fast because they're trying to cram a lot of information into a quick introduction. Or it's just kind of, they get in this mode of talking about what they do and it's monotone and it's not easy to listen to. So think about if you've made any of these mistakes. A memorable elevator pitch in contrast, needs these three things. It needs to be concise and clear. And it needs to focus on what investors want to know. And it's engaging, easy to listen to. It feels like a conversation. I want you to think of your elevator pitch purpose is to build relationships. This is the beginning of a relationship because nobody's going to invest after an elevator pitch or even after meeting you the first time. So let your elevator pitch be the beginning of a conversation. This gives you freedom to be concise. So you don't need to include everything. In fact, you can let their questions guide where the rest of the conversation goes. So your elevator pitch can just be really short and concise. Now, I realize this is easier said than done because being concise can be pretty difficult, particularly for enthusiastic, brilliant founders like you, because you're an expert. You know so much information. You are deep into your business, your product development, your team. You could talk about this for hours. But if you're just meeting somebody, you don't have time to fit all that in. Put yourself for the rest of this, like for the next half hour, put yourself in the shoes of investors and think about what they want. Because to get interest and to get this connection, you need to be remembered. And you want to also get to that next meeting, right? You want them to be so interested and curious to learn more that they invite you to another meeting. So you actually want to leave them wanting more, right? Don't leave them overwhelmed. You want to leave them curious. So how do we do this? We're going to talk about how you can focus your elevator pitch with a clear message for investors. The mindset that's going to help you is to be in the mindset of investor focus. Investor focused means that your pitch is focused on what investors care about. And my favorite way to get in this mindset of investor focus is to think of your pitch as a gift. You're gifting investors this opportunity, not in an arrogant way, but in a way that you want them to receive something special and meaningful. As if one of your, let's say a loved one or a close friend, has a special birthday coming up, and you want to get them a gift. You're going to think about what's important to them. What do they like? You're not going to give them something you like, right? You're going to give them something they like. And then you'll deliver it with care, package it nicely, and give it to them to make sure that they receive it. That's how I want you to think of your pitch. That you're going to think of what investors like, what's important to them, and that's the content. And then you're going to package it and deliver it in a way that's engaging so that they get it. So what is it that investors want? You should write this down. Briefly, investors want to know what you do. They want to know and understand that you are solving a real problem. A problem that people will pay to fix. That you have a solution that solves that problem. In a market large enough to make money. And with a business model to make it work. and traction. That you have traction or at least customer validation. So those are the key things, right? What you do: problem, solution, market, business model, team, and team that's capable of scaling this business, and traction. Those are the most important things that investors want to know about your business. What's not on this list? Does anybody notice what's not on the list that that founders love to talk about? Put it in the chat if you think, right, Harry's got it. Features. Investors don't need to hear about product features. Okay? But this is what, if you ask most founders what they do, what do they talk about? They talk about what they're building. They talk about how cool this new product is, how far along they are in product development, what it does. But that's not what investors want to know first. They might ask about it. They might say, oh, well, how does this work? But it's not the first thing they want to know. They want to know problem, solution, market, business model, team that's capable, and traction. Those are more important. Those are the things to make really clear in a short amount of time so that investors will find it relevant and compelling. So creating this elevator pitch is actually the first step in creating a great investor pitch. So we're starting in the right place. This isn't just a thing to do after your pitch. This is the starting point. And this is the first thing that I do with my clients. Why do we start with the elevator pitch? Well, if you're going to make an elevator pitch, it forces you to be concise. And once you can explain your business in a minute or so of those key things, well, then if you have 3 minutes or 5 minutes, that just seems like a leisurely chat. Then it's easy. And once you have your elevator pitch, you're prepared for networking because you can adapt it to your situation and to some conversational. Now, if you started with a 10-minute pitch or your deck for a half-hour meeting, and then you were asked to introduce yourself in 1 minute, that's really hard. Or even 3 minutes, that's really hard. But we start with the 1 minute, and then we start with the hardest and work our way out and add the important details. So to create this elevator pitch to be really concise for investors, the thing to do is to do some brainstorming, to brainstorm on your message, to think about and brainstorm on what's important to investors for every section of your pitch so that you can get it down to a short statement for every section. Do this before you do anything else, before you start on slides, even before you turn on your computer. Take this time to brainstorm about your elevator pitch, and whether you prefer paper, whiteboard, Post-it notes across the wall, whatever you're comfortable with, to let some ideas flow. And then from that flow, kind of keep iterating till it's concise. So let's do some of that together. We're going to brainstorm together on what I think is the most troublesome section of your pitch: the problem statement. The problem statement is a big problem in most pitches. And here's why. You need to be able to explain the problem you solve in a way that investors see its relevance. Get it down to this short problem statement that's powerful and memorable. But this is hard because here's what I see in most problem statements in pitches in general, is that most problem statements are too long and confusing. They're not easy to remember. Or they kind of miss the whole point and they're too big for your solution or too general. Or they just don't seem important. Like some problem statements, they talk about a situation that sounds like an inconvenience, but it's not an urgent problem that people are going to pay to solve. I'll give you some examples of this. I'm a climate tech investor, and I've seen plenty of pitches that say, the problem is climate change. But then their solution doesn't solve climate change. So it's not a problem solution fit. I've also seen plenty of pitches where they talk about the problem, but it's not big enough. It's not big enough to sound urgent. So let's do a little brainstorming together on your problem statement. I'm going to ask you some questions. You write down what comes to mind. Get ready with your pen and paper. And I want you to think about these questions. Just jot down a couple phrases and words. You don't need complete sentences right now. Thinking about your business and the problem you solve, who would pay to solve this problem? So write down briefly, who's your customer that would pay for this? Now think about, from your customer's point of view, how is this problem a pain point for your customers? Thinking a little, keep thinking about these pain points and what are the reasons that would make somebody pay to solve this problem? Even to the point of what are they saying when they go, yes, I'm in. And of all those pain points and reasons, what is it exactly that you are paid to solve? So from that bit of brainstorming, digging into customer pain point reasons, what you're paid for, we're going to create a problem statement that's short and impactful, that shows that it's relevant to your customers and also it's compelling to investors. All right, so I'll give you an example of this. So back to one of these problem statements I heard, that the problem is climate change. I gave the founder feedback because it was a pitch practice event. And then the next time I saw his pitch, he went straight to a story about his customer. This is Maria, a farmer in Eastern Washington who loses half of her crop from farm to her customer, which is a huge loss of revenue. Well, that's powerful and memorable. I remember it years later. It's also easy to understand, right? You don't have to be a farmer to realize if you're losing a large percentage of your crop before it gets to your customers, whether it's due to drought or whatever, or heat, climate change or not, it's really easy to see that that's a problem that somebody will pay to solve. So think about your problem statement that somebody not in your industry could understand. Yes, this is important. But it also shows that you understand your customer's pain point. Next, we're going to brainstorm a little bit on the solution. Okay, so ready with your pen. How do you solve the pain points of your customer? What is the outcome? And this is where we want problem and solution to match. If their problem is costing them money, then your solution saves them money. If their problem is they're losing sales and customers, your solution increases revenue and gains more customers. You see what I mean? They need to match. Having a problem and solution that matches makes things so much more clear to investors. And as they're listening, because it matches in their subconscious, they are then having this confidence in you that you're solving a real problem. So think about how your solution solves the problem and make sure they match. Problem and solution statements are the area where I spend most of my time when I first work with clients, because it takes a lot of brainstorming and iterating. So don't expect this to be perfect right away, but jot down your ideas now and we'll practice it at the end. I really want to hear your problem solution statements. Okay, next one is market opportunity. The market opportunity section of a pitch is often a missed opportunity to get investors excited. Market opportunity is not just your TAM. It's not just the size of the market, but it's why. Tell us, if this is a huge market, what's going on? What are the trends that are making this exciting right now? And you, being an expert in this market, know this more than investors. So explain in just one phrase or sentence, what's going on? What's that trend? We also want to know who's your target market. You may not have time to explain this in a 60-second pitch, but as you're brainstorming on your market opportunity, think about who's that beachhead market and describe that market segment. Who's that customer that's going to be the early adopters that want to champion your product once they've used it? If investors can see that you are focused on a target market to launch and to grow before you expand to the other markets, that's much more exciting than a huge TAM, which frankly makes my eyes roll when I hear a huge TAM without a trend and a beachhead market. Next is business model. This is how you make money. Be able to describe your business model in a really short phrase. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? You might be a SaaS model or an annual contract, or you're selling products for X amount of money, or it's product plus maintenance contract. Whatever it is, get it down to a short phrase so you can just give us that context and we can ask for more details later. Team. The team section of your pitch is really important because investors want to understand why you. What is unique about your team? And to fit it into an elevator pitch, create a single sentence statement of why you are the right team to grow this business. It's not just, I'm the CEO, right? It's why you. That's what investors want to know. Next is traction. Investors want to see that you have some traction or at least some customer validation. And you're on your way, if not already, to product market fit. So the things that investors really want to know is if you have revenue, particularly recurring revenue, or a pipeline, letters of intent, memorandums of understanding, something to show customer validation. Maybe it's users or trials or beta testing, or you've done 50 discovery calls. Tell us what you've learned about your customers if you're early and you've just been doing discovery calls and getting a wait list, for example. So for every section of this pitch that we talked about, your problem, solution, market, and the rest, you can get this more concise and down to a really clear statement for each section. You could actually then, with each of these, give an elevator pitch and be pretty close to a minute. You might not get all of them in 1 minute, but you can get at least 4 in. Being able to have this clear, concise statement for each section of your pitch is really important, not only for your elevator pitch, but as you build the rest of your pitch and your deck. It's really helpful because if you put just that concise statement in your deck is now concise and skimmable. Fun fact, investors only spend about 2 minutes, if you're lucky, looking at a deck before they decide if they're interested to learn more or not. So you actually want it quite skimmable. They can kind of look through your deck very quickly to decide if they want to know more, and they will still understand it because your statements are so clear. Now we're going to prepare this powerful introduction of our elevator pitch. Okay, so we've done our brainstorming of what you know already, of the key areas of your talking about your business. But you also need to be able to introduce yourself. You know, right? If you're talking to somebody, you don't just launch into problem. We want to get people's attention because investors hear a lot of pitches. Why should they pay attention? So you need a powerful hook. A hook is what you do in 10 words or less. It's that strong introductory statement that explains what you do and why investors should care. You can also use this on customers. Why should your customers care? It's very handy to have for whoever you're meeting. The key with a hook is it needs to be short and memorable and easy to convey. So I'm going to give you some examples of formats for hooks so that today you at least will come away with a hook and an outline for your elevator pitch. So the first format to create a compelling hook is your unique value proposition. Clearly state what makes your product or service special and how it serves your customers' problems. So I'll give some examples of value prop statements of companies that we've all heard of, just so you can kind of see how it works. If I were pitching Zoom back before COVID, when not everybody heard of Zoom, I could say something like this. We bring teams together from anywhere with easy to use video communication. If I were pitching Slack before it got purchased, I might say something like this. We make teamwork simpler and more productive with an intuitive communication platform. If I were creating a hook for Spotify, which I love, I would say something like this. You can enjoy endless music and podcasts tailored to your taste, anytime, anywhere. So you see, these hooks get straight to the point, focusing on what customers want and what makes them special. So that might be the format for your hook. The next one is if you have a good tagline. A tagline is particularly helpful, like maybe on the first or last page of your deck. But it might actually be something you can use at the beginning of your pitch. For example, one of my clients whose customers are in e-commerce, his tagline is, "We unlock growth in e-commerce for SMEs." You might have something else. So it doesn't quite have as much information as that unique value prop, but a tagline also works. The third format that works in a hook is if you use an analogy. An analogy is helpful because you're comparing it to what they already know, particularly if what you're doing is so unique that it's hard to explain. For example, I have a client whose hook is, we're the TurboTax for real estate. And given their benefits, it actually does work like TurboTax, but only for real estate transactions. So that was helpful to use when they're talking to customers, partners, as well as investors. The thing with the analogy, though, is don't overuse it, right? If you're going to say we're the Airbnb for our industry, or we're the, what's another one? Lyft for our industry, or Lyft for trucking, whatever. You have to be careful not to overuse it because a lot of companies say this, right? We're the Uber for our industry without actually being comparable as far as benefits to customers. So make sure that it actually matches. But if it does, it can help clear up something that's otherwise might be hard to explain. All right, so write down some ideas for your hook. What we've done today is the first step for building a great pitch, right? Building an elevator pitch takes brainstorming and planning and practice. And then you practice and adapt it till it becomes your own words and it feels natural. And you can use it for networking, you can adapt it to different situations. Okay? So I'm going to show you an elevator pitch template that is just, it's like your rough draft of your elevator pitch. Okay. You're not going to use it exactly like this, but it will get you started if you just fill in the blanks and use this template. You can see, like, okay, well, this actually explained all of the things that investors want. And it took maybe a minute, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. So here's the template to start with. Feel free to take a picture of this so that you can use it today to practice your elevator pitch. But then own it, right? If these are the things you want to cover, but you'll adapt it to make it sound how you speak. You will adapt it to your audience. And if some of these sections take longer because you need to explain them really, really well, or, and take a couple sentences to explain, you might not have room for everything in that 60-second pitch that you will use for SAC or TAC. And if you're networking, you might not go through this whole thing because that might feel a little awkward, but you can certainly use your hook. And when people say, "What problem do you solve?" you can now explain it in one sentence. So this is the first step in creating a great elevator pitch. And your pitch, this is even before your deck, okay? So you're going to need, as you could then create the rest of your pitch, this clear message that's investor focused before your deck. With a clear message, the deck is optional. You might not need it, or you can delegate that to do somebody else, to have somebody else do the slides. But you can't delegate your message. You know your business, you know your vision. You're the one out there creating relationships and building these authentic connections. So you're the one that has to be able to convey authentically what you do that's going to make investors excited. And make sure that it's investor focused and not product focused. I created a handout that should help you be in this investor focused mindset and keep thinking about this. So use this QR code. I also have a link. Let me put this in the chat. That's easier for you. You need to give your email address, and then you will receive an email with a link to download it. And if we're not already, make sure to connect on LinkedIn. I do these kind of events quite often, and for SAC and TAC, I do these almost monthly. And let me know if I can help you with your pitch. Raising money is hard. Knowing how to create a great elevator pitch and a great investor pitch is not intuitive. It takes learning and practice and skill building. So let me know if I can help. You need to be able to connect to the right investors with that targeted message so that you're remembered by the right people. Good luck with your business. I'm cheering you on. Here, you can follow me on LinkedIn, Dana Sather Robinson. I think I'm connected with quite a few of you already. One more thing is this takes a lot of practice, particularly getting it down to this short amount of time that you need if you're applying it to SAC or TAC. This is my favorite practice app. You record it, you tell it how much time you have, it will show you your video, the transcript, and give you feedback on areas where you could be more concise. I use this with all of my clients and it works so well. Okay, so now, does anybody have any questions? Or let's see, for the number of people we have here today, we probably have time for everybody to practice at least their hook and problem and solution statements, depending on how far you are in your elevator pitch, or maybe even your whole elevator pitch, so that we can give you feedback. And I encourage you all to listen to other people's practice, because I want us to all be able to give feedback. We learn from watching other people and giving them feedback. In fact, we tend to notice in other people what we need to learn to do ourselves. So watch closely so that you can think about, how would I give feedback for that? All right, Paula, should we have people ask questions?
Yes, I can see that Sarah has her hand up. And if you can keep adding putting your hand up using the Zoom feature, but also you can add it in the chat. Sarah, was that Yeah.
Yes, I do have a
Okay.
question. First of all, thanks for that. That's all incredibly helpful. I've taken copious notes.
Oh,
Um,
good.
my question is, when we're doing the elevator pitch, one of the things I struggle with is talking about my business where it is now. Should I really be trying to talk about my business in terms of where it's going in 3 to 5 years' time? And if so, I find there's just a lot of tension in trying to get all that in a minute.
Yeah, it's really hard to get it all in a minute, which is why when you're doing your hook, that's probably, you could either start with your vision or
Okay.
what your unique value prop is now.
Okay. Got
Yeah.
it.
So it depends on how much clarity you have on your vision.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about your problem, though, I would talk about the problem you solve now so that you can be really focused on what you do for your clients.
Okay. Got it.
You want to
That's
have a go?
helpful.
What's your unique value prop? What's your hook so far?
Well, I'll tell you what I've been saying, because I might be tweaking it after this. Um, we empower women with arthritis through non-invasive joint support that they love to wear.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
that's a great hook.
yeah. Um,
And that also captures your vision because you're empowering women,
okay.
which is not limited. It doesn't sound small, right?
Okay. That's
Sounds like
helpful to hear.
it sounds like quite a big vision.
Okay, cool.
Okay, well done.
Cheers.
Tim.
Hey there, hi there. Thank you. Thank you very much for the workshop. It was great. A lot of notes here. I have a question for you. The question is that when someone pitches to you, what is the signal or what is the thing that stood out for you that you lean to it and want to ask more questions about it? It's like really this light bulb in when you're listening to his pitch.
I think the area where it's easy to ask questions if is when there's silence, right? If you give your hook and you say what you do in this conversation and just leave it short, one or two sentences, then people are invited to say, "Oh, who's your customer?"
Hmm.
or "What problem are you solving?" or "How does that work?" Then you're in a conversation. Or even to explain things. I think the more concise you can explain things, then the more comfortable people are in asking questions because it's easier to
Hmm.
understand what was said.
Sometimes the less you say, the better conversation you can have.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. It makes sense.
Yeah, you're welcome, Tim. Do you want to have a go? What's your hook?
Sure. We're building a platform, or I'd say we're combining tools for gene therapy research and one simple to use platform.
Can you say that again? Some of the
I
sound
forgot my
got a little
dog.
muddled.
We're combining tools for gene therapy research into one simple to use platform.
Okay. Combining tools for gene therapy research. So that's important. Make sure those words are separate. You're probably so used to talking about this that you're like gene therapy research. But for somebody who has no idea what you do, we
Hmm.
need to hear the gene therapy research. So we can go, okay, so it's for researchers of
Hmm.
gene therapy, and then tell us how that's like that it's a unique value prop. But that's clear who you serve.
Yeah.
So yeah, well done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Dana, before we go to Saloni that had their hand up, there's a question in the chat that it says, is elevator the same as the 1 minute? I feel like there might exist a 15-second elevator and then a 1 minute, 3, 5, 10. I guess it's different stages of pitches. Are there any key insights that you want to share about that?
Yes, so this elevator pitch format that I gave today is that's your one. This is designed to help you with your 1 minute when you pitch at SAC or TAC for their when that starts. But like sometimes if you're just meeting people at a networking event, you'll just do that 1 or 2 sentence. So you'll have that 15-second of it's just your hook and maybe something about your customers or your traction, and stop, because you want it to generate a conversation, not just bombard somebody. And then there's the 3-minute. The 3-minute pitch feels a little bit more like a pitch, but it's almost like an elevator pitch with just more information. So this elevator pitch that we create today is your base for your 3-minute. And then of course, your 3-minute can have more information. You're going to include, you might have time for for more sections of your pitch. Well, you'll certainly include your ask. In your 1 minute, you'll have to ask the SAC and TAC people, do I include my ask in the 1 minute, or do I save that for the 3-minute? I don't know the answer to that. But in a 3-minute, for sure, you have time for the ask, you'll have time for your go-to-market. You might not have time for a lot more than that. For your 5-minute, you'll certainly have more time for all of those things, plus perhaps competition, if that's relevant. So as you create this message, your pitch narrative, the same format works for every length of pitch. You just adjust the detail and the content accordingly. You might have to adjust the content for different types of investors, and you'll adjust how much you can put in it and how much detail you put under it, depending on how much time you have.
Thank you. I wanted to add, like, it will also depend if you have time to have slides, if it's a presentation, if it's like more an informal conversation that you don't have supporting slides. And I will pass it to you, Saloni, next. But I wanted to add, because Dana has been talking about TAC and SAC, which is the programs that we run, and a bit of clarity for the founders is that the program is a training investor program, and we have startups that are partaking to win at the end. And the program starts with a 1-minute pitch by all of the participating startups. So for investors, they are receiving in 2 hours between 60 to 80 startups. So the way you stand out is really important, because you only have 1 minute. If your connection is good, if your sound is good, if you're using slides, if how good your content is really important. Even though they will be supporting, we have a platform that supports, and we can read more information of you as a founder, as a startup. The pitch is the presentation, right? And then the different startups that pass to the next round is 24 startups that pass to the quarterfinals, and they will have a 3-minute pitch. And then the semifinalists will have a 10-minute pitch. And then the finalists will have a 5-minute pitch and the final demo day. So it goes further as you go. And the further you go, the more time you have with investors to really define the pitch and make it really clear and clean of what is needed. So just a bit of background on what Dana was saying. Saloni, please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Paula.
I don't have a question, Dana, but I wanted to practice the pitch very quickly. I do unfortunately need to run after this, but maybe I can bug you offline. So QStack helps care teams catch when a patient mentally checks out by analyzing tone, pauses, and expressions, so they can act before there are missed medicines, drop-offs, or cap score drops, costing provider organizations millions. We're starting with value-based care organizations using telehealth virtual care, and currently have a live prototype, provisional patent, and are seeking letters of intent.
Okay, so that's not bad, but that first sentence was quite long, and I got a little lost in the detail.
Got
So
it.
if you could chunk those into smaller sentences, it's a lot easier than to remember and follow.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. In fact, before you go, I'm just going to remind everybody, if you use Udly, because this is a small group, I'm going to give you all an offer that I don't usually do if it's a large group. If you go into Udly and create a pitch, like your 1-minute pitch, you can share it, put in my email address right there, Dana at Pitch for Impact, share it with me, and I'll give you timestamped feedback. That's a much more time efficient way of giving people feedback than to try to line up a lot of
Yeah.
calls. So you feel free to use that and share it with me. Okay.
I appreciate it, Dana. Thank you.
All of you. This is open to all of you.
Can you pop your email back up on
Everybody
the
who
slide?
stayed 59 minutes now can use Udly and share it with me at my email address. Okay. Who's next?
Darlene, that's you.
Hi, yes, my video is not available, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
I just have my hook that I wanted to run by you. So it's VillaHub provides a marketplace and business platform for local personal service providers.
Okay. Local personal service providers. Can you give me an
Yeah,
example of who that is?
yeah. So I come from kind of the aesthetic world is where I come from. So anyone who provides kind of like um, skincare treatments, laser treatments, and then this goes to like hairstylists, personal trainers, eyelash extension people. So it's kind of anyone who does a personal service in a local area. Because I came from that industry, I really recognized everyone in this industry is kind of puzzle piecing software together to create a business, and most people don't have business education. So a lot of times they're really struggling to find leads, generate leads, communicate with leads, and kind of run their business in a real way. So this is kind of a platform that it's a marketplace for people to find local service providers. At the same time, the platform is also providing all of the tools in a very simple to use way for a solo person. So their revenue could be anywhere from $2,000 a month to $8,000 a month, kind of on the high end. And it's really specialized to me as a solo person that may not be expanding or scaling to a huge, you know, local
Okay.
business. But just for that individual person, there's like a gap in the market I found.
Okay. So, and are you looking to raise money to launch this or grow it?
Yes.
All right. So I think just a little bit more information on what kind of local service providers. If you would say
Okay.
like, hairdressers and skincare specialists or whatever that is, or maybe even just say
Okay.
start like where you start. If you're starting in the beauty industry,
Hmm.
then that sort of is easy to picture.
Easy. Okay, because right now I have two areas. I'm working with a personal trainer and we're kind of building a personal training platform. And then also a hairstylist that's kind of in the wedding industry where it's almost like a Um, she connects brides who are looking for hair and makeup, and she has a platform where she's manually doing this matching. So it's kind of the same thing where it's people who are looking for an in-person service. So I have kind of the two sectors, the personal training one that we're hands-on working on, and then the kind of wedding industry where we're doing it hands-on. But it's the same build basically in matching people who are interested in a service provider with the right service provider.
Got it. So from an investor perspective, it sounds like you're doing two beachhead markets.
Hmm.
And most investors will tell you focus on one and get some traction.
Okay.
I mean, you do you, but that's kind of a red flag for investors if you're working with two very different. I know the product is similar, but you're working with two really different industries that are not going to overlap as far as customer needs and
Hmm.
and final the users.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
So maybe you start with like personal training matchmaker.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's a little that gives me more clarity on who you're doing it for.
Okay. Yeah. And when I started with, I did originally start with that one, and that one we had it named like Find My Trainer. And so that would kind of match easier. Like Find My Trainer is a marketplace and a business platform for personal trainers and their clients. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds easier to grasp.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
And then you can talk about how, as you are further into the conversation or have more time, the market opportunity is once we build it for personal trainers, we'll expand to other personal services. So there's
Can
a
I ask
big
you?
market, but you need to start with something
Okay.
to build the tech.
Can I ask you one question on that?
Mhm.
So with that one, part of the question too is if the marketplace design would be a kind of cross-platform integration. So like if I'm a bride and I'm getting ready for my wedding and I'm wanting to get in shape, so I find my trainer, it would kind of also recognize through the algorithm that I'm getting married. So it would kind of recommend hair services or makeup services. And then in that it can kind of expand. So obviously that balloons out really quickly, but that's kind of the concept that's sort of complicated to articulate simply. So that's where these like kind of
Well,
different like silos kind of come from.
got it. Okay, so maybe you, but then give examples
Okay,
as
okay.
opposed to just personal services, because I'm not. Is that a
So
plumber? Like,
right.
I wasn't sure what that meant, but it's if you say for hairstylists and personal trainers and other, highly personalized services, then that's more clear.
So this kind of aligns with your like the vague statement of like the green or sorry, where you're talking about that the product that she had kind of like half of it didn't make it to market when you were kind of talking about like the green initiative or whatever. Like it, I can maybe paint the picture of that exactly what I said, like the bride who has a personal trainer and then this opens up and this opens up kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shruti. You're next.
Thanks, Paula. And thank you very much, Dana, for breaking down the elevator pitch. Really helpful tips. So just like others, I also wanted to share my hook with you. So yeah, my hook statement is our platform enables startup founders to build AI automation workflows using vibe coding. What do you think about this?
Okay, so you have a platform for vibe coding to help founders. Is this for non-technical founders or technical founders?
Both.
Both. Okay, so help founders. Yeah, that's pretty clear.
Any other questions you may have on this?
Yeah, no, okay, so it's a platform that helps founders create automations. And so what's the main benefit for your customers?
To actually, build AI workflows, which is improving efficiency using the emerging technology and beyond. And second, not pay thousands of euros to AI consultancy agencies. So
Okay.
saves money and helps build their AI operating system using
There you
vibe
go.
coding.
Yeah, I think you should add a second sentence, including those two benefits,
Okay.
so that it's pretty clear why they would use that. But yeah, very good.
Thank you.
Well done. Thank you.
Lee, you go next.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Because
Yes, I can. Hi, Lee.
Okay, thank you very much. My pitch is the new generation of coders use very different tools from today. They learn to use collaborative platforms like Roblox as opposed to conventional dev tools that silo developers. A direct contrast to what they are accustomed to. I am building a collab coding environment that invites them in and lets them build together.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lee. That's really interesting. So you actually finished, your last sentence was your hook. So you want to start with that, and then you talked about the industry, like the industry's changing, people are doing more collaborative things. That should go under market opportunity, where you can first talk, say what you're doing. And then when you talk about the market, say the market is changing in that people now want more collaborative tools. So that's that market trend that you highlight when you talk about market. But it doesn't need to be the first thing. And do you know what? You're not the first person to do this. So most, like a lot of people will start with like, this is the background. This is why I'm doing this. But actually we want to just start with the hook and then put the background, particularly a market trend, under market.
Thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, but well done. Good luck. Okay, Timu, I think you're next.
Thank you.
Well, hey, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. How are y'all
Hi.
doing?
Good. How are you, Timu? Where are you located?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Excellent.
Yes, it is, actually. It's great.
Good.
But I see a lot of people in a lot of great places, so that's good. So I'm going to just do the 1 minute or whatever you want to call it, elevator pitch, as you put it. But I wanted to thank you, Dana. I've actually done this twice now and listened to the video recast. So I've tried to take notes from multiple sessions. And those who haven't done it before, it's worth it. You catch something every time. So just a little pitch for you, Dana. This is really good stuff.
Thank you for that. Yes, that's why we put the videos on YouTube, because they're pretty helpful to go back.
Well, they are. I mean, I fast forward, rewind, do whatever. So anyway, real quickly, here's my pitch. And of course, my dog shows up just as I'm doing that. Isn't that the perfect timing? All right. Honey, I'm on a pitch right now, please. Could you? Sorry. Anyway, let me go ahead and get started. It's for my solution. It's for privacy concerned frequent travelers that want to share their travel details and experiences, photos, etc., with their family and closest friends in real time in a single integrated safe place. So basically, it's a safe, private, easy app to keep everybody engaged with their trip.
Okay. That sounds great. So you're like their private Facebook page or something.
More than that, because well, yes, you could do all this on Facebook, except you don't get the granular control on every single trip, who gets to see what, et cetera. So it's very granular, adds integrated real-time flight status updates, cruise ship updates, whatever, all those kinds of things. So it's a bunch of it's automated as well. And it's really for the privacy concerned people. It's frequent travelers who like to share more, but now they do it, but in using multiple tools, gets confusing, they forget to do it, et cetera.
So your market is private people who frequent travelers. And how do you reach them? Like, do you reach them through travel agents, or you advertise, or?
Well, I know this is a public forum, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but
No, I'm just like in general.
In general, through channels that they engage with a lot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting.
So, no, it's a very large market. Privacy is obviously a very high growing area. People are getting kind of tired of sharing everything on Facebook and other means. Think about it. Put WhatsApp and Google Photos and other travel enhancing tools in a blender, and that's what you got.
Excellent. Okay. No, I get it. Thank you. That's pretty clear on what you do. And it's clear that your market is frequent travelers with privacy concerns. You still want to share, itinerary and photos of their trip.
Yeah, everything you'd normally do, except now they have a single place to do it. They know it's going to be secure, it's going to be private, no third-party advertising, nobody tracking them, nothing.
Yeah. So the main thing, I think what would be helpful is you chop up all those into really short sentences so that it's really easy to be like, okay, this is who it is, this is what you're doing, this is the benefits. Yeah. Then it's but that's really clear and sounds very exciting.
I hope so. It's part of the plan. It's
Yeah.
number one on the plan.
Okay, well, yeah. Good luck. Send me your
Appreciate
next
it.
version via Udly.
I shall. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hi, Harry.
Donna.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for coming today.
Of course, I love the event. I'd just love to give my hook. I have like 20 of them floating around, so I'll do the one that I created in this event. I'm from Transcribit, and we're glasses for your attention.
Glasses for your attention. That's not what you told me when I met you at the pitch and run on Wednesday last week. You told me something about a way to help certain founders. Is that still the same business?
That I didn't tell you about. There's nothing to help certain founders.
Okay. All right. I must have misunderstood.
We're the app to help students with disabilities.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Okay.
glasses for your attention is, yeah, exactly.
So I would like to know, I know that's a really nice short hook, but I would like to know who it's for.
Okay.
So tell us who it's for. Your customer is?
Our customer is schools who are struggling with the amount of disabled students that they have to support.
Okay, and then your users are?
The students and teachers to provide a baseline level of accommodation for all classrooms so that no one slips through the cracks.
Okay, but specifically you're helping students with disabilities.
Yes.
Succeed and not slip through the cracks.
Exactly. Whether that be if you lose your focus or you struggle to ask a question.
Okay. So I think you need to make it because of who you're helping. And that's the part that's going to be memorable to investors. I would start with that.
Okay. Let me just notes real quick.
Yeah. Because I remembered you helped somebody with disabilities. I thought it was founders, but it's students. But that's the bit I remember. So I think that's the thing. You want to make that clear right at the beginning so that people who are impact investors will know right away that they should ask questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck. Nice to see you.
Good to see you too.
Hello, Rob.
Hello, hello. Hey, Paula, how are you? Good to see you. Dana, I just want to plug in for both the TAC and the SAC events. And we were in the last TAC 7 and we were into the final 6. And I really wish, Dana, that I had listened to this before we got started, because that 60-second pitch is the most stressful thing you can ever do when you're up against 80 others. It's so tough. And I'm back here to listen to it again so that I can refine it further. And I'm going to submit it into Udly, but I want to tell everybody here, these events are great. If you can get into it, pick on Dana to learn as much as you can, because this is what gets to that check.
Yep. Yep. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's tough. You know, if you're against 90 other founders and you have 60 seconds to stand out, it's hard for investors to remember them all. So be gentle with us and keep it really simple. That's the main thing. Did you have a question, Rob, or just a plug?
Or how about
want to share your hook?
What if I do the whole 60 seconds?
Go ahead. Yeah, we have time.
Okay. Let me give it a go.
Should I time you?
Let's try it. Tell me when. Ready to go?
Go ahead.
Wearable users seeking health, fitness, and performance improvement deserve metrics that leverage 3D micromovement, even every twitch. Now they depend on cameras that lack microdata, leaving them in the dark to movement context. Navigation systems and robotics have the same problem. Xmotion's proprietary AI middleware software for hardware, will unleash movement intelligence on devices relying on inertial motion sensor data, eliminating the dependency on cameras and GPS. I'm Rob. I exited my first startup and bootstrapped Xmotion with 700K. We three serial entrepreneurs spent 5 years of R&D followed by third-party validation and patenting. This isn't a fix. It's a disruptive magnification like the electron microscope. Our B2B bulk recurring licensing is resonating. We've got LOIs in a 12 billion market begging for us. We're raising $2.5 million to build and train the first of its kind motion model.
That's your minute.
And fulfill our first LOIs. 8 months to begin scaling.
Okay. Yeah. So well done. I think your hook needs to be more about what you provide. You had it somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
So can you say your hook again?
Proprietary AI middleware, software for hardware that unleashes movement intelligence on devices relying on inertial motion sensor data.
Yeah, it's kind of long. It's kind of long. If you and I were chatting over coffee and I said, so Rob, what do you do? What would you say?
We develop AI for devices that unleashes motion, 3D motion.
That's a lot more clear. So think of this as to all of you, think of it like a coffee chat. You and I are sitting at Starbucks and wherever around the world or your favorite cafe. And I say, what do you do? How do you say it in a conversational way that invites me to go, oh, wow, that's cool. How does that work? Or tell me more, or who's your customer? So think of how you would do it. So it's better to have 3 short sentences in a row than one long one to get people to really feel like it's a conversation.
Good advice. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Rob. I look forward to your Udly version.
I'll send it soon.
Okay. Thomas.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hey. I guess I don't have a question at the moment, but I was wondering if I could do the little 15-second pitch. Just throw my elevator.
Yeah.
Okay. Macro Broker is AI-powered meal planning that disappears into your life. Everyone wants to eat healthy and hit their fitness goals, but meal planning is exhausting and expensive. Existing solutions ignore your calendar, your workouts, and the realities of meal prepping, forcing you to plan around the app instead of the app planning around your life. We capture your real context to build nutrition plans around how you actually live.
I like it. I like that. But you ended with a hook. What's your first sentence again? I might kind of like your last sentence better.
AI-powered meal planning that disappears into your life. And I'm not totally sold on that statement either.
I'm not sure about the disappears into your life, but how your last statement, say that one again.
Yeah. Macro Broker captures your real context to build nutrition plans around how you actually live.
I think that's your hook.
Okay. Yeah, and that's the line that I actually wrote, and the other one is the line that my developer wrote and really liked, and so I threw it in.
Well, the thing is that we want to make sure that it's conversational.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the kind of thing like, what would you say if I asked you over coffee, what do you do? And what are you building? And you tell me this is the thing, and here's what it does. And it's your meal planning that makes your life easier and saves you time and helps you with your fitness goals. Like that could be really short and it's memorable because people would think, that sounds actually really helpful. Or that could be really big. So
yeah, I built the app for myself because I have pretty bad ADHD and I used to be a personal trainer, but the biggest lift is just the planning and the finding recipes and the sorting out the schedule. And so I was like, I wish there were an app that did that for me.
There you go.
So
excellent. Yeah. I look forward to hearing more.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thomas and everybody, if you can add the link to your startup if it already exists, and also your LinkedIn, I think that will be really good for all of us to stay in the loop.
Yeah, please do. Please put your LinkedIn.
There is two people that next. Bill Kay, are you there?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, great. You go.
Wonderful. I'm just going to do the elevator pitch.
Okay.
So I'm Bill Rose, founder of Eloom Socialing. At Eloom, we are the Roku for social media industry, reimagining the next generation of disruptive, integrated, and trust-based social media experience of the future. Thank you.
Okay. So a social media that's more trusting and integrative.
That's right.
Yeah. So I like that. So you're building a new social media platform.
You got it.
Cool.
Very bold. I've done
Very
three.
bold.
So I've done three startups from inception to IPO in my past life, and so this is the first time where I'm kind of one of the co-founders, and really excited to be able to take all the things that I've learned over the last 15 years of doing a variety of different startups to really solving a problem I feel like we all are experiencing, from younger generation to the older generation, which is the way that social media just doesn't serve us. It doesn't serve anybody the way it is today. So we're really reimagining it. We just want it to be more integrated and more focused on actually socializing and socialing, which is what people want.
Okay. Well, how you explained it just now in more of your conversation was more clear than in your elevator pitch. Thankfully, this is recorded and you can go back and listen to both versions and see what I mean.
That sounds good.
And actually, Timu has a comment here, so coffee shop, that's different from this 1 minute limited pitch in front of an audience. But the thing is, when you're speaking in front of audience, whether it's online or in a room full with 100 people, to the listener, you want it to feel like you're having a conversation with them. That's what makes a presentation, a pitch, an elevator pitch easy to listen to, is to sound conversational. So using conversational language, using shorter sentences, speaking at a pace that's conversational will make it more easy. It's easier then for the listeners to stay engaged because it's just feels more natural. So that's what we're after here. Even if you're terrified and you're on stage and you have 1 minute and all these people are staring at you, you still want to sound conversational, which is why it takes a lot of practice to sound natural, which sounds counterintuitive, but it really does. So that's what we're after here. Conversational language will help you build the language you want to use. I'm just looking at Timu's comment that then when you're in that venue, you're using these shorter sentences, easy to listen to. Yes, it's not exactly how you would speak over coffee because you have 60 seconds and you're gonna just, it's not back and forth, but you can make it feel natural. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, Timu wants to follow up. Good luck, Bill Kay. Send me your next version on Udly.
Wait.
Hey,
Thank you. Before you, Zainab was also with her hand up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't see that.
This is
That's
related.
okay. She couldn't put the hand
go
up.
ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Timo, if this is related to this conversation, go ahead. Mine is on my pitch, basically.
all right, real quick. I guess this will apply for everyone, but I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll be very short. The question is, well, that's not the idea that I'm having, and this is how I would approach it in a coffee shop, would be a question anyway. I'd start the conversation even in front of a large audience with a question. Something along the lines, hey, how many of you guys are frequent travelers? So at least you capture some audience and people might think, am I a frequent traveler? Anyway, that sets them in the mood. I'm wondering if that helps in these 1 minute pitches or not. I mean, that's what I would do in a general conversation, kind of get them into the context of the conversation before I start rattling off what I'm going to be talking about.
In a 1-minute pitch, you don't have time to do that. So I would just start with your hook.
Even if you don't expect them to answer, just kind of like.
Even if you don't expect them to answer,
Okay.
because you're kind of then losing control of their attention. You want to say something that makes them think. But if you ask them a question and they go, no, I don't think I am, then they stop. Then it's no longer relevant to them. But you might be talking to investors who are your ideal investor, not the thing when you're pitching, it's not to your customers. Okay, so a sales pitch is very different from an investor pitch.
Yeah.
The overlap is problem and solution, and your hook might be similar, but you don't want to speak to investors as if you're selling to them. You don't want to say, hey, are you a frequent traveler? Or how many of you are frequent travelers? This is for you. Now you're in sales pitch mode. For investors, you want to show that you understand your customers, not that you're trying to have them become a customer. So it's different messaging. So never say you when you're talking about, hey, you should try this, or you may have this, or you might be a frequent traveler. When you travel, try this. Or when you're going to do meal planning, try this. Do not use you when you're talking about your product to customers, because it feels like you're selling to them, and they change how they listen. We want them thinking about this as a business, not a product they might buy. Okay, it's just a slightly different frame of words, but so you
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Great
Okay,
feedback. Appreciate it.
That was a good point though, Timo. Okay, Zainab, sorry about that.
No problem. Hello again, and thank you. Good to see you again as well. We chatted briefly last week as well. So I just wanted to just work on my hook a little bit and run it by you, see what you think now. So we are building smart personal shopping assistants that get your taste and preference. So no more endless scrolling to find your loved items.
Okay. That's clear. If you were talking to a customer, we help you. But that doesn't tell me, the investor, who your customers are. So I like that you're describing what you're doing.
Right.
But you're talking to me like a customer, not an investor. So if you could say, we help. Who's your ideal customer that you can tell us who that is?
We are building online shoppers, shorten their journey from search to discovery to purchase.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
So you're helping online shoppers or frequent online shoppers, or whatever that target market is, would be much more powerful to investors.
Got it.
Because again, if you're talking to a tech investor who doesn't like shopping, no, they stop listening. But they might be a great fit because of the technology you use. So don't exclude them by talking to them like a customer.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, well done.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to practice their hook or their pitch or have a question?
I also welcome any questions you have about the program. I think that the listening to each other's advice is really good. And something that I've seen from past programs as well is that giving to someone else the hook to translate it how they understand it is really interesting to see how it gets to different people. So that's something else to ask your friends, family, and people that are completely in a different space. So you get maybe different versions of the same depending on who your audience is.
Yes, I did that last week when I met somebody. His pitch was a bit confusing, so I asked him questions about his customers and how they benefit and who he works with. And then I introduced him to somebody who came along in the next minute. And I said, oh, meet Jason, he's doing this. And he went, wow, that was better than how I said it. But sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you listen to how somebody introduces you and you think, that is not what I said. That is not my customer, because they misunderstood. So it's really helpful to practice either relaying it back to them or introducing them to someone else and giving them, repitching them with your version of their hook and see if it makes sense. So anyway, it's good. It takes practice. Keep practicing.
It takes practice. I'm adding my LinkedIn in the chat, as well as the other information about the program. And also I'm adding yours, Dana, so people can connect with you if they are not connected yet. We run this type of workshops pretty often. This is about the pitch, but then we also have how to fundraise and how to connect with investors, and this diverse round of workshops that we do online and in person, depending where you are. And also something to consider is that so the program is for aspiring investors and founders. And as part of the program, we often have many founders because they want to see the back end of the investor's life and how the investor's perspective goes. This won't be necessarily a good fit for all of the founders. It depends on where in the career they are, if they've been entrepreneurs or investors in different stages, etc. But like throwing it out there in terms of like opening your horizons on the possibilities that you can go as a founder. Timo.
So I'm curious, the Transatlantic Angel Conference, that sounds, so my solution is geared toward a very international audience. So I'm curious on how the angel investor community in general, I mean, you say transatlantic, I mean, it could be trans-Pacific, but in your case, it's transatlantic. What is the sort of point, what is the glue that's bringing the angel investor community together? Because normally they're so regional, I would say. And then now you're looking at investors. Are they investing in European companies, American companies, or are they looking at literally crossing the pond to invest in each other's continents? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So a bit of background is that our mother venture is Mossy Ventures, and it started in the US. So when they decided to open the branch part in Europe was 4 years ago. And in a way, because the community in the US is quite big and it's been really always been US centric, they wanted to open this to really connect the European market with the US market. So SAC, Seattle Angel Conference, is focused in the US startups, pre-seed and seed for US investors, while TAC is focused on investors from especially Europe and the US, but anywhere that time zones align, really, and startups from the US and Europe or anywhere else where time zones align. Both programs are online. And the idea here is really to connect and to really dig deeper into this diverse and international network. So that's the main difference. The program itself is the same in terms of sessions and how we run them. The competition is different because when you compete as a startup only with US startups is different than when you are analyzed by a broad range of investors from all around the world, right? So in a way, they run in parallel, and we are kind of like sister organizations. So each investor does their own thing, but we are really connected. So this workshop is in collaboration with either or both.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
No worries. Okay, Dana, you want to do a closing on like they made an offer for people to use this other app, which I will share the link soon. And,
okay.
And then we can wrap up. If there are no more questions or anyone that wants to practice.
Okay. Look, thank you all so much for being a great audience, for participating, for asking questions, sharing your hooks. I realize that raising money is pretty difficult, particularly now with finance, economy is a little uncertain. So this is where it's more important than ever that you connect to the right investors and have a very targeted message, and that you are remembered by the right investors. And so keep practicing your elevator pitch and use that base as a framework to build out the rest of your pitch so that the whole thing is this very concise and clear narrative. You've done the first step, so keep going and keep practicing. And you are very welcome to share your practice with me via Udly or send me an email. But, let me know how I can help. All right. But practice is important because it'll never be perfect in one go. This is a learning process. As Simon Sinek said in a podcast that I listened to recently, he said, the first pancake always sucks, right? Have you made pancakes and the first one is always either too flat or gets burned on one side, and then you adjust the oil and the temperature, and then the next ones are great. So you have to get through that first one that you know is going to suck, and then it'll keep getting better. So keep practicing and keep iterating, and good luck. I'm thinking of you.
Thank you so much, everybody. Go practice your pancakes.
And your pitch.
And your pitch. Thank you, Dana. That's been amazing.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
See you the next one.